Hi everyone. I feel like my name has popped up a few times before I get to introduce myself, so great to be here. Thanks, Anthony, for the opportunity. It's great to hear about all these amazing studies into work experience, something that we think has been overlooked in England for a while. I don't say UK because obviously Scotland and Northern Ireland have taken this very seriously, but we seem to have lagged behind in England. By way of introduction, I am Elnaz Kashefpakdel. I am Head of Research and Policy at the charity called Speakers for Schools. As Will mentioned, we have commissioned SQW to undertake the international practices for work experience across English literature. This was part of a bigger program of study into understanding the impacts of work experience on young people, but also understanding what works, what are the good characteristics of a good quality work experience, which Izzy very nicely alluded to. Today, I'm going to present the findings of a YouGov poll that we commissioned before the SQW report has taken place, just as a starter to the program of study we've undertaken at Speakers for Schools. And again, a quick overview of what we do at Speakers for Schools. We are a social mobility charity in the UK operating across different parts of the country. We provide the much needed networks of high profile guest speakers going to schools, and the kind of networks that the private education students have access to. We wanted to level the playing field for those students coming from more disadvantaged backgrounds with the kind of social capital they need in order to smoothly transition to the world of work. We also provide work-free at point of use work experience placements where we link state-funded secondary school students with industry-leading companies working in different sectors. And overall, in the past decade, we have supported around 1 million young people with all of our inspirational speakers and work experience programs. Great. So a quick background into this research. As I mentioned, Speakers for Schools were heavily invested in work experience in the past few years. Obviously, we were hit by pandemic, so we had to move quickly to virtual delivery mode. But we kind of were interested in understanding the impacts of work experience for everyone participating in our program, but generally theoretically, if you like. We have adopted a common and influential methodology, and it was as I said, founded by Anthony when he was at Education and Employers, and as a reflection of the difficulties that Will mentioned in finding longitudinal studies to follow students around. We focus on this methodology. We're asking young people to recall their experiences when they were in education. This methodology has been adopted by some of the very influential papers here in the UK, where it has informed government policy around the importance of careers education and career talks in general. And we wanted to unveil the impact of work experience for a cohort of young people through a YouGov poll. We asked 18 to 30-year-olds recalling their experiences when they were in school, and we wanted to evaluate whether they participated in work experience opportunities and how it impacted their outcomes at the present day, which is the day of the survey. So we know from the reporting on the day of the survey what's their economic activity and also how much they have earned, and hopefully answers questions from Florian that how we measured economic outcomes or long-term impact. We looked at employment outcomes to see whether participation in work experience reduces the likelihood of you become unemployed, and also whether it will contribute to the wage premium. A quick overview of the findings around trends in participation, some quick policy context into work experience. If you like, in 2012, there is statutory...
Oh no, we're not seeing your main slide yet.
Oh.
So maybe if you go forward one, we'll see the
Okay,
trends in participation.
1 second. So are you now seeing
We see the approach as the main slide.
How about now?
Then no, this is the main slide. Declining trends.
Yes, great. Okay, we're here now. I think I was using two screens. It always confuses the hell out of my presentation. Okay, great. So just a very quick policy background into work experience. Before 2012, it was compulsory for schools to provide placements for 14 to 16 years old, where young people are in secondary school, but this was removed by a review of the general education by someone called Alison Wolf, and the responsibility of organizing work experiences passed to schools, but they weren't accountable for it. When the government published a career strategy in 2017, and after that, we've seen some movement towards better progression across participation in work experience, but our analysis showed that in general there was a declining trend in accessing work experience across state secondary schools. When we ask young people to recall their experiences when they were in education, only a third of 16 to 18-year-olds have done work experience, and that was around 50% for those state school ages 14 to 16. So apart from the little improvement in 16 to 18 years old, we have overall seen a decline across participation in work experience. We were really interested because we're a social mobility charity, obviously keen to understand whether young people from more disadvantaged backgrounds have better access to a work experience, because obviously from the presentation, Will and Izzy said that it does provide opportunities for young people to progress in their careers, in their aspirations, and insight into the world of work. But what we found was through a measurement called social grade by YouGov, that young people from lower socioeconomic backgrounds have lesser access to opportunities to do work experience. But it's also when we ask them how many times they have done it, those coming from more higher socioeconomic backgrounds have done multiple activities. And again, we know from the evidence, the more you do opportunities like this, the more likely you're better placed in employment when you transition to labor market. Also, we found that the type of school you attend has an effect on the volume of work experience activities that you do. Those who go to private education, often because of multiple reasons, parental network, the school taking it really seriously and embedding it in their entire curriculum, they are more likely to have done work experience activities. Around 33% of young people reported doing work experience. They were privately educated, have done 3 different work experience placements across their education, comparing to 17% in state schools. So this was similar for 16 to 18-year-old, even higher. So again, social patterns in accessing work experience is pretty worrying. We also looked at geography and how access to work experience is distributed across UK regions. We found some interesting trends. Again, in some parts of the country, the distribution is quite high, for the participation is quite high, like Northern Ireland, because we know it's part of their central system, northeast of England and London. Again, for various reasons, obviously London and accessibility to a bigger cohort of employers and different size and sector. Northeast, because there was like a big pilot of careers education in the past few years, concerted effort in getting right, and then some lower participation in West Midlands, in Scotland and east of England. It was interesting to see Scotland comparing to the rest of the parts, because they do also have a central system, but they have their own challenges. Now I want to focus a little bit on the outcome side. So we have seen that socioeconomic background factors does have effect on who gets access to work experience, but also we don't know the quality of those work experiences accessed by state-funded education. So again, something to explore more. But we wanted to also understand how is this participation in work experience affect long-term effects, long-term impact when young people are in full-time employment. So we asked the participants in the survey to report their wage on the day of the survey, so how much they earn. And then we have used a regression model to understand having control for some of these socioeconomic factors, such as school type, such as gender, such as parental background, whether there is a correlation between volume of activities that you have done and how much you earn later on in life. We only focus on those who are in full-time employment because obviously we wanted to just compare like with like. And the findings showed that for each additional work experience opportunity that you've attended, there is around 3.4% wage premium attached to it. So let's say you have an earning of around £1,000. It is an addition, if you have done an additional work experience, that 3.4% in addition, that £1,000 that you have earned. And we have controlled for different factors on a multi-level analysis basis. So you can see that we introduced more and more control variables into the analysis to see if the result still holds if we introduce more background factors, and that was the case. It's still positive, still significant. And the final finding was we wanted to understand the relationship between attending work experience and the likelihood of becoming NEET, and that's not in education, employment and training. So we run a logistic regression analysis on the day of the survey. If young people participated in the poll, said that they haven't been active economically, we have categorized them as NEET. And those who have been doing some activities within the world of education and employment, we have coded them as active. So when we ran the analysis, we have seen again that for every time you've done work experience, the likelihood of becoming NEET goes down from 11% to 7%. So again, a significant relationship between doing work experience and experiences of unemployment or not being in education at all, economically inactive. And this is even higher for the 16 to 18 years old. And you can see from the table that is around 0.56 comparing to 0.69 on the odds ratio. So just to summarize everything that I said and points of reflection for the chat. These are the key findings from this study. For each additional work experience, young people reported 3.4% wage increase when they are in full-time employment. Likelihood of becoming NEET reduced from 11% to 7%. Only 1/3 of young people recalled work experience when they were 16 to 18, and that goes down to about 50% when they were in school. Something that we also tested was whether work experience provides the opportunity for young people to develop transferable essential skills. And we've seen around 1/3 of young people reporting positively around confidence and self-belief and the opportunity to develop problem solving, communication, and those transferable skills that becomes really handy for any employment opportunities. The implication of this study, obviously, we have launched now a campaign in England that we're calling for work experience to come back, because we now see the positive results of attending work experience. We think young people from private education have access to opportunities through different channels, and we want to level the playing field for young people in state education. And with this campaign, we want to challenge the status quo and provide similar opportunities for every young person, so they have the right to do work experience when they are in school. Thank you.